Thank you. So we can get to spell your name correctly. Maybe walking like so. Oh, you ready? Okay. All right, so how it's gonna work is I'll speak first. We have Mr. Cohort here who's gonna speak second, Coward, and he'll give his name and his spelling and everything, and then Mr. Life Malcolm. All right? Everyone's good? All right. All right, so Jeremy McClymont, the last name is spelled M-C-L-Y-M-O-N as in Nancy, T as in Thomas. I am the attorney of Tianis Jones. And are you also, just tell me when we're ready to go.
Yeah, we're ready.
Go ahead.
All right.
Is this live?
It's being streamed.
Okay. Okay. All right. I was disgusted, as I normally am, watching Sheriff Grady on television and on social media attacking someone charged with a criminal offense. But this case is different. In this instant, Sheriff Grady attacked one of my clients. Sheriff Grady attacked a black woman. Sheriff Grady threw an underage minor in harm's way. Sheriff Grady, the defense does not rest. Tianis Jones was just trying to make it through that day. Tianis does not come from money. She does not have people that she can lean on when she needs help. In fact, she's the person that people lean on when they need help. She is there to provide her family with support monetarily. She has to scramble to find money for not only her children, her siblings, older and younger, her grandparents, her father who's in prison. She has to do those things. Tianis Jones doesn't have anyone else to lean on. She walks around with a weight on her shoulders that none of you know anything about. Miss Jones, on Thursday of last week, was doing just that. She packed her car with her child, her two younger siblings, and her mother, and they went to McDonald's to get something to eat. Something that should have been a simple trip. They get to the McDonald's, they get to the drive-thru, Tianis places an order. When she places an order, she goes to the first window and she makes the payment. They direct her to go to the second window. When she gets to the second window, the McDonald's employees forget two different drinks and they mess up a third. At that point, Tianis tells the employees that there's been a mistake. They say that they did not get the other two drinks and they mistakenly made the wrong shake for her siblings. Tianis says, no problem, I'll pay for the shake, I'll pay for the new drink, please just process it and give me the drink that I ordered. They say, no problem. Pull up to window 3, and we'll be right out with that. Tianis goes to window 3. When she gets to window 3, they bring out the drinks, but they don't bring out any food. The food was not for Tianis. It was for her younger brother, her younger sister, and her child. So she sits at the window after she gets her drinks, and she's waiting for the food. 10, 15 minutes go by, and she's still waiting for food. Another employee comes to the window and asks her, what are you doing here? She says, I'm waiting for the food that I just ordered. The employee asks to see her receipt, and she shows them the receipt. Another employee comes to the window, a second employee, and says, what's the problem? What's going on? He asks for the receipt. Tianis shows him the receipt again, or this person the receipt. At that point, they're still confused. They still don't know what's going on. They're still mistaken. A third employee comes to the window, a general manager at that point, or someone who called themselves a general manager. When they get to the window, they say that they had already given Tianis her food. They ask for the receipt again. Tianis, confused and not understanding what is going on, parks her car and goes inside to get a better understanding of what is happening. As she goes inside the McDonald's, she is there to ask them for a refund or the food. Simple. The general manager denied her her refund and denied her the food, told Tianis to leave, that she was not going to serve her. A much different story than what the sheriff told. So when Tianis was in the store and she didn't get her refund and she didn't get her food, she caused havoc. Some people would call the police, which she did. Some people might just walk away, but Tianis works for every dollar that she has. She doesn't have any money to waste. She is someone who is always providing for her family. And when her brother was in the car and didn't get the food, her little brother, couldn't be no more than 5 years old, and he didn't get his food, he was crying. And as trivial as that may be, Tianis didn't like it. So she went inside to figure out what the problem was. The employees did not give her a refund, did not want to give her her food, and Tianis caused havoc in the store. She eventually got her refund, and she left the store immediately. Sheriff Grady Judd, his unprofessional and dangerous comments stand to taint any potential jury pool that Ms. Tianis could potentially have in this case. As a lawyer, that's how I see it. The rest of the world may see Sheriff Grady Judd as the class clown of all of the Florida Sheriff's departments, sheriff's offices. I see him as someone who is very dangerous to our judicial system, someone who does not care that his comments may bleed into a jury pool, someone who is looking for an opportunity to make headlines, looking for an opportunity to go viral, looking for an opportunity to keep his name relevant. Sheriff Grady Judd was looking for that opportunity last week. He was not looking for the most violent or dangerous person in Polk County. He put out a manhunt for Tianis Jones because she was throwing cups around in McDonald's. He charged her with burglary, assault, a first-degree felony punishable by up to life in prison for what happened in McDonald's. Tianis Jones had a bad day. What many of you don't know is that Tianis Jones has been diagnosed with a mental illness. And we're not going to run away from that topic. We're going to lean into it. We're going to get proximate. We're going to get close. We're going to find out what it is that happened that day. Tianis Jones has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression. So everything that she had been going through, the weight of the world on her shoulders and taking care of her family and having to deal with the issues that she was dealing with at McDonald's, she snapped. That doesn't make her a criminal. It makes her a human being. Tianis Jones is someone who is only trying to get her refund or her food, just as anyone else who would have gone to McDonald's or any fast food restaurant would have done. She was owed her money. The employees at McDonald's stole her money and would not give it back. Being an employee of a corporation does not give you the ability to steal someone's money. Being the employee of a corporation does not give you the ability to treat someone as if they're less than. Miss Tianis Jones has that mental health illness. She has medication that she's not taking because she's pregnant. So when Sheriff Grady Judd gets on his stand and he gets to talking about what happened on that day in McDonald's, when he starts to mimic Tianis Jones, he doesn't realize that his comments are very dangerous. He doesn't realize that he's affecting Tianis' mental health. He doesn't realize that when she goes home and she has to read all of the comments and look at all of the videos that are all over the internet, millions of views, he doesn't understand how that affects her. He doesn't understand how Tianis Jones' minor sister was thrown in harm's way. Doesn't want to go to school because people are making fun of her. Sheriff Grady Judd should have been professional about the way that he went about the situation. His unprofessional and dangerous remarks will lead to Miss Tianis has led to this situation, has led to me having to come in here and clear up the lies that Sheriff Grady told. There was never an online order. She ordered at the drive-thru. There was never any refund issued or them saying that they would issue a refund. The refund didn't come until after Tianis had to tear up the McDonald's. The 911 call. Ms. Jones didn't call 911 to complain about an order. She called 911 to tell the operator, to tell the police that the McDonald's employees were stealing her money. Hence, the quote in the audio. These people are trying to cheat me out of my money. But no one saw that, no one heard that, no one questioned that. They only heard the image that Sheriff Grady Judd put out, the picture that he painted. The proof is there. She didn't get her refund. She has her receipt to show when she actually got it, 30 minutes after she placed her initial order. 30 minutes of her having to argue and go back and forth with these people at McDonald's. Sheriff Grady Judd may not care about mental illness. He may not care about how his rhetoric invades the province of a jury. He may not care because while the law may be important for him to uphold or enforce for him and himself, it may mean nothing. Everyone. I didn't write the law. I just read it. I studied it, and now I practice it. And everyone is entitled to the same 5th and 14th Amendment due process protections. Everyone. That's a law that everyone needs to be following, especially an elected public official in Polk County. Miss Tianis, I leaned in and I got proximate. I got close to find out what it is that's wrong, what it is that happened. Her mental illnesses are not the kind that you develop from hate that would cause you to go and shoot up a school or a church or a grocery store. The mental illness that she's developed come from a lack of having a father and the father's love. The mental illness that she's developed comes from experiencing things as a child that no child should ever have to experience, things that you all would never know anything about. There is always, and when you do this work, when you really do the work of defending people who have been charged with criminal offenses, you learn how to lean in, to get proximate, to get close, to find out what it is that makes people tick. And the majority of people aren't out there committing acts which we criminalize because they're just prone to criminal activity. The majority of the people have a story. They have a reason as to why something happened. And it's never as simple as what you see on the surface. Tianis, in front of these cameras and in front of the news, I want to tell you that a story that I learned from someone that I admire, someone that I respect very much. After this press conference, Sheriff Grady Judd may say something. Everyone on the internet may say something about mental health. They may try to throw you under the bus. But one day, there was a donkey, and he fell into a ditch. Every day, people would walk by that ditch, and they would throw rocks and stones in the ditch. So much so that one day, the donkey was able to get up, step on the stones, and walk out of the ditch. I say that to say that every knock is a boost. Thank you. And I want to turn the camera over, or the microphone over, to someone who's not a part of our legal team, someone who's just supporting as a community member, and I want to give him an opportunity to share his support for Tianis.
My name is Dr. Clayton Coward. I'm with the PMJA, the Poor and Minority Justice Association, Clayton, C-L-A-Y-T-O-N, Coward, C-O-W-A-R-T. I'd just like to respond to the new language that the sheriff has, the MAC language, and I have a message for the sheriff. Grady needs to be made quiet because he's not a Mac doctor. Grady wants to be a Mac movie star. He spends too much Mac time in the camera. Grady's statements about mental illness was Mac childish. And we have a message for him. Stick to Mac policing, stay out of the Mac camera, and stop trying to be a Mac movie star. Mental illness is real. Stop making jokes about mental illness. That's something that the sheriff said, which is certainly something that is reflected to someone with mental illness. He said that Mrs. Jones was 2 fries short of a Happy Meal. I think that's picking at someone that may have a mental illness. He's 2 fries short of a real sheriff and a mental health doctor. I think it's clear that the behavior shows that there was something that was happening. Who would really commit a crime and call the sheriff unless they thought something was wrong? So I don't think he evaluated the whole situation. One of the things that I heard him say was, I don't know what was wrong with her that day. That's why you shouldn't make statements if you really don't know what's wrong. Then he says, she must have gone nuts. That's a direct statement making humor out of a mental. Going nuts means is defined to become mentally ill, to become insane. Now, this is something that you really have to consider when you're talking about people. We have so much going on in our country today with mental illness, and rather than address the mental illness, he makes fun of it. That's no more than kids at school who's bullying people, and this is what he stands up against, supposedly, but he does the same thing. The sheriff is making fun of people who have mental illness. And so, for the sheriff, since he's such a small man, we got him a nice Happy Meal. And it even comes with the toy. Grow up.
My name is Life Malcolm, LIFEMALCOLM. I'm a member of AsiliA Law Firm. I'm also a member of the African People's Socialist Party and the director of the Black People's Advancement and Defense Organization. And I just really want to appreciate all of you all coming out to cover this very important issue. I'm not going to be long because Attorney McClymont and Reverend Coward have both spoken quite eloquently and covered most of the stuff I thought I was going to have to touch on when I got up here. I will say this, though. When I got up here, I wanted to call Grady Judd a clown. But there's no reason to make disparaging remarks about clowns. I've never known a clown to talk badly about pregnant women struggling with mental health issues. What I will tell you is Grady Judd is dangerous to our community, to our society. And I'm quite frankly, the fact that Grady Judd had the opportunity, he has the platform. You know, he's the sheriff. He can. Grady Judd calls a press conference. His platforms bring, hundreds of people out. All kind of people asking questions. All kind of people want to see what Grady Judd has to say. And he had the opportunity to use his platform to help people like Tianis Jones, who struggle with mental health issues, to address pregnant women and stuff that they go. He had the opportunity to use his platform to be helpful. Instead, he chose the opportunity to use his platform to be hurtful, incisive, and that's not the kind of thing that at this day and age we expect from people who lead, who are leaders in our society. The ground is changing right underneath our feet as we stand right now. No longer, no people, no longer homophobic, right? We're getting away from that. We're getting away from racist ideas. We're getting away from, all that kind of hateful, discriminatory stuff. But Grady Judd, grew up in a time where, he listened to Bull Connor. He heard Bull Connor. Grady Judd was born in the 50s. And he heard Eugene Bull Connor talk. He heard George Wallace talk, on the news. And no doubt, hearing that influenced him. And the thing is, Grady Judd's influence resonates with us right now today. The inflammatory stuff that Grady Judd says. The only reason why we shot him 68 times is because we ran out of bullets. If he come to my house, I'm gonna shoot him so many times you could read a newspaper through him. This Grady Judd talk right here in Florida, and so because Grady Judd says these kind of things, people like the guy who killed all those people in Buffalo. Hear Grady Judd talking. He has a big platform. The guy who just killed all those people in Texas, Tianis, might have knocked over, it looked like, I don't know, I didn't count them, but it looked like it might have been 21 cups. She might have knocked over 21, let's call it 42 cups. She knocked over some cups because she had, some issue. This guy just killed 21 people. Because he had some kind of issue, but that guy been listening to people like Grady Judd. And even in Parkland, I think it's been, I think it's around the anniversary time. Parkland, influenced by the rhetoric of people like Grady Judd, and so I would just implore the people in Polk County, because if you support Grady Judd, I'm quite ashamed of you right now, because Grady Judd represents a relic of what this country seems to attempt to reach these days, which is a social justice that means something to everybody within the boundaries of the U.S. Continent. And so I would say it's time to get rid of Grady Judd. He's old. I mean, he might have been funny to some people, might have been entertaining and whatever, but he's bad for us. We need people who have compassion for people who are different than them, people who have compassion for people with mental illnesses, mental health issues, people who have compassion for people who don't share the same race, people who have compassion for people who don't have the same sexual identities. We need people who have compassion and understanding in leadership representing our way forward, and Grady Judd just ain't it. Thank you, I appreciate it. I turn it back over to Mr. McClymont.
I'm open for questions if anyone has any.
Can we hear from Tianis? Can she answer a couple questions?
It depends on the question. Obviously, there's an open criminal case, so.
I mean, Tianis, when you heard about this press conference, what were your first reactions to it?
You can answer that.
I didn't really have a reaction other than just getting justice. I don't really have a reaction.
What would you like to see happen?
A lot of thoughts come to my head when you ask me that question. I actually want a lot of things to happen. I'm not going to speak on most of those things. I want my little sister to have justice, all because she is a minor, and whoever put her on national television without my mom's consent or her father's consent was wrong, and they should have went into more detail about the story and investigated the story before they let out any footage or any videos to the public.
How has comments on these posts affected you?
My daughter tried to commit suicide 2 days after that.
I mean,
And if I wouldn't have walked in on time, she would have been successful. And Judge Grady, I just want to tell you, you messed with the wrong family. We joined together, and we love each other. And unfortunately, that's something that you don't have with yours.
Sorry, 2 days after the press conference?
I don't want to speak on it.
In fact, I mean, how long ago?
We just have.
So she's pretty much done with the answer.
I do have another
We need
question.
to get her name and spell it, or we can't use that soundbite. We want to do that.
Yeah, just go ahead and spell your name. Tell
Well,
My name is Clevia Vargas. It's spelled Klyvia. I just want justice for my girls. And my last name is Vargas. Vargas. And we were nervous to come today. We really didn't want to, but we wanted to stop people coming up to us and laughing, playing the video over. It's not fair for my daughter. She's only 15, and it's not fair for her. He needs to be more of an example for our community.
You talk about justice. What is justice for you?
Justice is for him to say the truth and to know that he was wrong in the facts and that he needs to do his homework rather than just bolting out whatever he would like to sound like a McClown on a comedy show.
So the sheriff says that the press conference worked because Ms. Jones was arrested. Kind of talk about the timeline a little bit. Was she found, or did she turn herself in?
So she surrendered, and before Sheriff Judd got on to do his press conference, his detectives were in touch with me, in communication with me, and I told them that I was in communication with Ms. Jones and that we were going to surrender, right? So while that was going on in the background, he was getting ready to give his press conference, which is why I say he took the opportunity to make a headline, to go viral, and to keep his name relevant. He did not have to. It was not necessary for him to get on the news in a press conference to look for Tianis Jones when I was already in communication with him. It's very clear from the clips that he showed of Miss Tianis dancing in McDonald's that the purpose of his press conference was not an investigative purpose. It was one in which he was trying to embarrass Tianis, right? That had no investigative purpose. Mick this, Mick that, dancing, twerking, none of that had anything to do with finding Tianis Jones. Everyone in Polk County should be upset that he spent taxpayer dollars. He had his detectives out looking for Tianis like she was a murderer. They were calling my phone, she's got to turn herself in by 4 o'clock today. Sheriff Grady Judd is about to do a press conference. He just did a press conference, right? He had all of his officers out looking for Tianis, for throwing cups at McDonald's, not looking for anyone out there committing murders or sexual assaults, but for looking for Tianis Jones. When she surrendered, one of the detectives told us that there were over 100 officers looking for her. They talked to me throughout the day, said that their bosses would not allow them to go and work on other cases because they were looking for Tianis, for throwing cups in McDonald's.
And sir, we talked to the sheriff about this today. He said criminal defense attorneys are supposed to represent their clients, and that's what he's doing. But he also said that you were trying to get free publicity by doing this today. I just want to give you a chance to respond.
Right, and the sheriff's job as a sheriff, right, is to investigate cases thoroughly, right, and to make arrests. Not to get on a stage to give closing arguments before he's done his homework on a case. And certainly, more importantly, not to give closing arguments before he's passed the Florida bar, right? He's talking about cases. My job, right, is to protect Tianis, right, and to defend her case. He's already put us 10 steps behind with his rhetoric, with the lies that he told, with the misinformation that he spread throughout the world. So I have to work backwards now to try to level the playing field. I don't need Sheriff Grady's platform. I don't need any publicity from Sheriff Grady, right? I do my own thing. Tianis Jones didn't come to my office because Sheriff Grady sent her there, right? So Sheriff Grady's comments, they mean nothing, and maybe he's not used to people fighting back, but at this time it's different. So it's done.